In this video, we're going to be looking at what life was like on a plantation for a slave. So, once the slaves had been bought at the slave auction, they would be taken back to the master's plantation, a bit like this one, and made to work in fields for the rest of their lives. We're going to break this down into three key categories. We're going to look at working conditions first, then living conditions, and we're going to finish by a quick look at possible dangers. So, what did a working day for a slave actually look like? Well, it was definitely a long one. A slave on average would work for 18 hours a day from the minute they wake up to the minute they go to sleep. They are doing hard work out in the fields. They also didn't get much rest because they worked 6 out of the 7 days a week. They would most likely get a Sunday off for religious reasons. It was also hard, hot work because it was in difficult, humid conditions, which would not be pleasant to do manual hard labour in, and it was the reason that they actually used African slaves and not people from Britain as they couldn't survive the temperature. Children as young as 3 were forced to work, so little kids would also have to work on the plantations, and pregnant women who were expecting were made to work up until the day that their child was born. They did not get a break either. So, living conditions for a slave. Well, slaves lived in basic huts. These huts would be made of wood. They would have no flooring, they would have a dirt floor, and that is where they would spend the rest of their lives living. They would be quite large, and there'd be multiple slaves inside the one. They are also provided with basic food rations, such as rice, and basic clothing to wear. Also, it was nothing fancy. And possible dangers for slaves during life on plantations was mainly death from being overworked. Their work was hard, it was in temperature, they were not fed enough, and they were overworked with all this hours of work. There was also the common threat of sexual abuse from overseers, and women on plantations often became so malnourished that they could not have children due to the hard work. There was also often the threat of punishment from slave masters and overseers if they did anything out of line or were not working hard enough.